You are getting older at exactly the same speed you always have, 1 second per second. No faster than when you were 7, but it doesn't feel that way. Somehow a year now passes in what feels like the length of a season back then, and an entire decade can blur into something that feels shorter than one childhood summer. This isn't your imagination, and it isn't really about aging at all. Scientists have a real explanation for why time speeds up as you get older, and once you understand it, you can actually slow it back down. Let's start with the math of it. When you are 5 years old, 1 year is 20% of your entire life. When you are 50 years old, that same single year is only 2% of your life. Your brain measures time partly by comparing it to how much life you've already lived. So the exact same 365 days feels enormous at 5 and tiny at 50. This is called proportional time perception, but that's only part of what's happening. The bigger factor involves something called novelty. Your brain doesn't actually record time directly. It records experiences, and it uses the density of new memories to estimate how much time has passed. When you were a child, almost everything was new. First day of school, first time riding a bike, new friends and new places, new foods, new teachers, new everything. Your brain was constantly creating fresh, detailed memories because everything required full attention. A single ordinary day at age 7 might contain more new information than a week does at age 30. And when your brain looks back at a period filled with dense, detailed memories, it interprets that period as having lasted a long time. This is why a 2-week childhood summer trip can feel like it lasted forever, while a 2-week vacation as an adult can feel like it disappeared overnight. Now here's where adulthood works against you. As you get older, life becomes routine. You drive the same roads and do the same job. You follow the same patterns most days. Your brain stops creating detailed memories for familiar experiences because it doesn't need to. It compresses repeated routine into something close to a single memory, instead of hundreds of distinct ones. So when you look back at a year that was mostly routine, your brain has very little to measure it by. Few distinct memories means your brain estimates very little time has passed, even though an entire year went by. This is the real reason time feels like it's speeding up. It's not that time is moving faster, it's that your memory has less material to measure it with. Researchers have tested this directly. Participants who experienced new environments consistently estimated that more time had passed, even when the actual elapsed time was identical to participants in familiar repetitive environments. The brain that created more new memories perceived more time passing. This also explains a strange effect many people notice while traveling. A single week-long trip to a new country can feel longer in memory than 3 uneventful months at home. Not because anything dramatic happened, just because nearly everything was unfamiliar, so your brain recorded it in far greater detail. Now here's the part that actually matters for your daily life. If routine is what compresses your sense of time, then novelty is what expands it. And you don't need a major life change to create novelty. Researchers found that even small disruptions to routine are enough to increase memory density. Taking a different route to work forces your brain to pay closer attention. Trying a new restaurant does the same thing. So does learning any new skill or meeting new people. Each one creates more detailed memories, which makes that period of time feel longer when you look back on it. This means the speeding up of time as you age isn't a fixed permanent decline. It's a side effect of routine, and routine can be interrupted on purpose. People who deliberately introduce new experiences into their lives consistently report a stronger, more expanded sense of time, compared to people who let every day default to the same patterns. Your childhood didn't feel long because you were young. It felt long because almost everything was new, and the version of you sitting here right now still has access to that same mechanism. It just requires actually doing something different, instead of letting routine run on autopilot. So if the last few years have felt like they disappeared without you noticing, ask yourself one question. How much of that time actually required your full attention? Time isn't actually speeding up. You're just making fewer memories to measure it with. Have you noticed this happening in your own life? When did time start feeling like it was speeding up for you? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe to Whisper Files for more things your brain never told you.